Welcome to this CIS-107 mini lecture. I want to take a moment and explore a very common error that is made with the query by example interface on LibreOffice or other QBE interfaces on other products as well. And it's really easy to go down the wrong path in the QBE editor when you're working with multiple tables because it's very easy to get results. And if you don't stop and sanity check what you're doing, you can really go badly astray. So let's start by just reviewing something. I'm using the TAL database here, and let's go view the relationships on this database. So we have items that are related to the order line table that link it to orders. Orders are made by customers, and customers have reps. So one rep has many customers. One customer can have zero or many orders. One order can have zero or, well, have at least one or many line items on the order. And each item is found on zero or many line items in an order. Okay, so that's how that bridging table works. So these connections, if we're using multiple tables, have to be made. And so if we want some data out of this table and we want some data out of this table, even if we don't want any of the fields from the intervening tables, we must include each of the intervening tables. See how these are all chained together? If not, we're going to have the tables disconnected, and we're going to end up with every possible combination of the records we do select from the two different tables. That's also known as a Cartesian product, and that's really not what we want. That would be an error. So let's take a look and see how we can make that error, and then how we can avoid that error in the future. So let's put our relationships away, but keep in mind here between items and orders, we're going to work with these two tables. And so any query that we have using these two tables at the same time really needs to include the order line. But that's not going to be apparent to us. It's not enforced by the query by example editor. So let's take a look at that. So no, don't need to save those changes. All right, so let's go to the editor and let's create a query in design view. And let's say I'd like to get some information on items and orders, okay? And my first big clue here is see that these tables are not connected. They're disconnected from each other. And that means that I'm going to get if I select some records from orders and some records from items and put them in a common result, it's going to give me the cross product of that, the Cartesian product of every possible combination of the two. And that's not at all what I want. But let's go ahead and make the mistake and see how we can kind of get a clue that we're making that mistake, and then how we fix it. So let's say what I want is I want to know the customer order number and the date of the order, and I'd like to know the item number and description. Okay, and that all seems to be working fine. And indeed, if I run a query, I will get results. And at this point, a lot of students would say, oh, I'm good, let's move on to the next problem. But hold on, not so fast. How many orders do we actually have in this database? Doesn't 41 look like a lot of rows? And if we take this and sanity check it for a minute, like, wow, I'm seeing some duplication here, I think. What if I take the customer number and let's sort by that. So under customer number, let's come and sort that ascending. Let me scroll down here. There we go. Let's sort that ascending and run it. And it's like, wow, it looks like customer 126 has ordered every item at one time or another. And indeed, if we scroll down, it looks like, wow, 260 has ordered every item. And customer 334 has ordered. Do you think that's really true? Is it reasonable that every customer you have orders one of everything that you offer? That's a bit suspicious. All right, so right away our spidey sense should be tingling. We should know that, hey, that's can't be right. And then we go back and look at our tables and go, oh, there's no connection. I'm getting a Cartesian product on that. Okay, so let's go to the tools or the insert, and let's add a table. And we go back and look at our relationship, our entity relationship diagram or ERD diagram if we needed to. But we remember, having looked at that recently, that the orders table and the item table is related through an associative entity called the order line table. And so remember, we're getting about 40 some odd rows there. And let me just reorder these so you can see the connection. Now I've got a connection. I'm not changing my query at all in the QBE, but I am changing the query in the SQL that it's running, and that is, with this in place, it's now going to have the join. It's going to say where the order number is equal to order line dot order number, and where the item dot item number is equal to the order line dot order number. And we can validate that that's true. Let's go look. If we switch our design view in here and go look at our where clause, here's the join between the order line table and the item table and the order line table and the orders table. So now that we have that join, let's go back to our design view, and instead of those 40 some odd rows, if we run this, let me pull the query results down. Okay, now we're only getting 12, and this looks a lot more reasonable. There's 2 orders by customer 126, there's 1 order by 260, there's 2 orders by 334. This looks like a more reasonable distribution. Okay, and so sanity checking that. And just to reemphasize another way we can look at it, we saw the join visually here because we see the connectedness, but also we saw in the query the join clauses, the where one table element equals another table element has been added. Let's go ahead and delete this table again, which we're back to making an error. And let's look at the query view, and oh look, there's no where clause. Okay, anytime I have a query that involves multiple tables and I don't have a where clause, that's a red flag. And even if I have a where clause, what I should do is I should have, if there are 3 tables, there ought to be 2 equal signs. Okay, if there were 4 tables, there ought to be 3 equal signs relating one table to the next table. You're always going to have one fewer equal signs than the number of tables. So that table A equals something in table B, and table B equals in something in table C. Okay, so that's another way we can very quickly sanity check and make sure that not only that we have the join, but that we have all the joins for working with more than just 2 tables. And in the query builder, though, I think probably the easiest way to see it, let's go back to our design view, and we see that these tables are kind of floating in space. They're disconnected. It tells me I need something. Let's insert the table. And again, if we've forgotten, we could go back and look at the relations in the table to see how do I connect these tables. And again, for the orders and item, it's the order line table that I'm missing. And it doesn't really matter where you display it. I just like to not have all the lines crossing each other everywhere. And so that's a nice layout. And again, when I run that, I get a more reasonable number of rows, and sanity checking it, it looks like it ought to be right. I could even go and eyeball the individual tables if I wanted to make sure, and kind of, map 1 or 2 records out by hand and go, okay, I see how it's connected. And again, another way to sanity check this, change the view back over to the SQL view, and let's parse our where clause. Let me lay it out so it's a little bit easier to see. Where this equals this, and this equals this. and then there's the order by. And I could have other filtering and things going on in the where clause, but count the equal signs between tables. 1, 2, okay. So we've got 3 tables. So 2 equal signs is 1 less than 3 tables. So I am linking table A to table B to table C. Everything's all wired up, and now I can be more confident that I have done the query correctly. Hope that's helpful to you.